to commence with, the narrative structure of the film is going to be non-linear, set in the year of 2045, as it starts in the present day and recollects on bygone memories. The film begins inside of a frantically busy hospital where an unconscious female patient is being rushed through the doors, with sorely burns down her face and major injuries. This suggests the patient has been involved in some sort of horrific accident. The principal doctor of the hospital, Dr. James Brent, recognises the patient and recalls the face of his long-lost love ex-girlfriend. Back at home, James Brent sorts through some old photos and letters in his loft. He stumbles across some obtained letters addressed to him back in 2015, where he served as a doctor for the soldiers in the Syrian war. He registers the letters were sent to him by his one true love, Lucy Waiter. Despite now being in a stable relationship for 10 years with his girlfriend, Lois Brent, the story progresses to change the typical narrative structure as it travels back in time to 2015, around that period of time. The film continuously throughout the film cuts from the past to the present day. The film exhibits how James meets Lucy and the ups and downfalls of their heartfelt relationship. Recalling on the past, the film unveils other subplots from the year 2015, such as the sadness and suffering Lucy went through of losing her father to a life-threatening illness, and James's parents continuously arguing, which evidently leads to his father running away with another woman. During this time, James is training to become a doctor and has been obligated to work for the front line, saving the lives of soldiers in the Syrian war, leaving behind his loved ones. Having been away at war for nearly a year now, receiving love letters and photos from Lucy, a news report has come out about a bomb attack on the camp James has been based in, caused by the IS in Syria. James's family and Lucy are forced to believe James was killed in the attack, whereas in fact he luckily survived the bomb but is now under strict surveillance and has been forced to pretend he's dead, so it looks as if there were no survivors of the bomb in order to protect his family and his country from being targeted. As he returns to England, James establishes and embarks on a new identity. James lived his life as a new man, but with the trauma and distress of being without his loved ones and the jarring memories of the war. The movie proceeds back to the present day of 2045, showing again the woman being urgently rushed into the hospital at night. It turns out she's in a coma. Again, the doctor, James, recognises the woman's face. He believes it to be Lucy, but isn't convinced and can't really tell if it's her due to not knowing who this woman is and the harsh burns covering her face. As the days go on, he begins to realise the patient is truly her. Whilst in a coma, Lucy goes through glimpses of being at near death, and then there becomes a worry that she's not going to make it. But with the whisper and sound of James's voice, it somehow keeps her alive. Eventually, Lucy wakes up from a coma, but unfortunately is seriously brain damaged and doesn't seem to recognise James's face. During her recovery in the hospital, James vigorously endeavours to release hints it's him. Nevertheless, she isn't responding or recognising him at all. A few days later, James receives a confidential phone call saying he must withdraw and remove his new identity, fleeing and escaping the country, his work and home life, including his girlfriend, as the IS have found out that some British survived the bomb attack and are now menacing to attack the whole of the UK. James abandons his work. The patient, Lucy, begins to wonder where the pleasant, warm-hearted doctor has gone. She begins to unknowingly raise questions to the nurses and other members of staff at the hospital. A letter has been placed on her bedside table in the hospital ward, a letter she wrote to James all those years ago. A flashback montage appears of their most lifetimes together. Memories start to flood back to Lucy. She realises who the doctor was and begins to cry, knowing this time he's left her for good. And then I've kind of just left on a cliffhanger because I don't really know where it's going to go from there.